Halo Combat Evolved turns 23 this year. In those 23 years, the Halo franchise has seen some of the highest reverence and accolades games can achieve, and depending on who you talk to, one of the saddest, slowest downfalls. Regardless of your views on recent Halo media, there's no denying that Halo has left an undisputable mark on the entire first-person shooter genre. Over 2 decades ago, a GameSpot employee named Joe Fielder said it best by stating, "Halo's single-player game is worth picking up an Xbox for alone." Which, if I wasn't 5 years old at the time, I would have wholeheartedly agreed. You know who did agree? Literally every male figure who could shell out the equivalent of $500 to buy the original Xbox and a copy of Halo Combat Evolved. Even 5-year-old Ropeburn could tell that there was something special about this game and console, because his dad bought it day one, and his soon-to-be stepbrothers pulled together the cash to buy one, and all of the super cool teenagers they hung out with had their own copies. I remember them all coming home from school and physically linking their systems together with a cable, and playing multiplayer till the sun went down and then came back up. I remember trying to fit my tiny hands around the Xbox's behemoth-sized controllers, and my dad patiently waiting for me to learn how to use the 2 joysticks to interface with Master Chief. We would play a couch co-op campaign, which was incredibly unique for the time, and is unfortunately still just as rare these days. We'd play on easy because my hands were so small I couldn't use the right thumbstick and press the shoot trigger at the same time. Yet, I'd arguably be having more fun than any other human on Earth at those times. Since then, a lot has happened, and my hands have grown considerably larger. I have played Halo Combat Evolved at least 10 times, and the wind of my life has shifted in that game's direction once again. Halo Combat Evolved radiates a warm comfort that permeates through the decades. I've never been one to have much interest in nostalgia, and I wear rose-colored glasses even less frequently. I don't try to hide the flaws of media I consume in the past, and Halo Combat Evolved definitely has a couple flaws we will explore, but I think my inner primordial being convinces me to play this game as a desperate attempt to claw through those 2 decades of a sludgy, gross life I've lived so far. This new playthrough is different, as I have a whole entire new perspective on my bright future, and having a child whose hands are too tiny to hold a controller has rewired my brain. So, a new playthrough is now overdue. For more info about my life and this channel, check out my last video entitled "When was the last time you created something?" after you watch this one. For now, let's pick up our plasma rifle and our blue girlfriend and dive head first into Halo Combat Evolved. Halo Combat Evolved starts with a calm shot of the Pillar of Autumn, a human space vessel, floating towards a mysterious ring-shaped object in space. The air of calm evaporates as Captain Keyes and his AI assistant Cortana discover they've been followed through slipspace by a violent group of aliens known as the Covenant. Instantly, loads of questions flow through the player's mind. What are the Covenant? Why are we retreating? What's this planet and ring structure? The game provides no time to ponder these, as we're under attack and we need a hero. We watch our character, the Master Chief, unthaw from cryosleep. Remember, this is the first time we've ever met him. 20 plus years of media surrounding this character has elevated the Master Chief to divine status as a gaming icon. So it's always a surprise to me that the first scene, his grand introduction, is him waking up, stepping out of the chamber, and that's it. The game pans over to his helmet and boom, you're in. These first few minutes with the Master Chief have always been special to me, because just as the Chief is still shaking off the ice and atrophy from cryosleep, I'm also shaking off the years between playthroughs, having to relearn Halo's quirks. From the perspective of a new player, it also helps them connect them to the Chief, as they're also just trying to figure out what is happening in this ship, the same way Chief needs to be briefed on what's happening. This first level is extremely effective at allowing players to immerse themselves into the body of Master Chief. Halo Combat Evolved makes the deliberate decision to not just wake him up, yell that we're under attack, throw a gun at you, and tell you to start blasting and save the day. The game actually doesn't let you do anything other than walk, turn your camera, jump, crouch through blaster fire, catching brief glimpses of what you're up against, until you're fully given your objective. Grab Cortana and get out of Dodge. It's suggested if the Covenant find Cortana, then Earth is doomed, implying to the new player that this isn't a small skirmish, but actually a galaxy-wide threat. This is where it begins to get difficult to speak about Combat Evolved in a vacuum. Since its release, there have been like 14 or 15 games, ranging from arcade shooters to strategy games and spin-offs. More than 30 books, some movies, a TV show, and an anime. Someone like myself who wants to review only Combat Evolved has to make a large effort to put themselves into the eyes of someone who has never even seen what Halo has to offer. If you're a large Halo fan, imagine what it must be like to not know who the Arbiter is, what happened moments before the start of Combat Evolved, or the original idea behind the Spartan program. Before Combat Evolved, you didn't even know what an elite looked like. Something I'm actively trying to do is strip away everything I know about the 2 decades and hundreds of hours I've dumped into the franchise. And I'm very surprised at how well Combat Evolved lays the foundation to hold up the mountain of what's to come. Halo employs the strategy of show don't tell when it comes to establishing its world, and honestly puts a surprising amount of trust in the player to infer what is happening around them. As you're running to the bridge to meet up with Keyes, you can see blue and green blaster fire from aliens of different sizes and colors. The game doesn't have an NPC or something say to you, "You could tell friend from foe by looking at the blaster fire," or something stupid like that. No, instead, we're just going to shoot at you with it while you're unarmed and running for your life. You dodge and weave through the assault until you finally reach the bridge and speak to Captain Keyes. This next cutscene establishes a great sense of camaraderie between these 3 characters. Cortana isn't just some AI, she has a snarky personality as she brags to the chief that her small carrier ship has taken out 3 Covenant battle cruisers. At the same time, Chief talks smack about her piloting skills. Captain Keyes calmly runs his ship, as if his ship isn't being torn apart underneath him. The captain tells us he's initiating the Cole Protocol, which the game kindly doesn't explain, but gives you enough context clues to understand it's a protection of information. Keyes wants to evacuate all personnel and land the ship on the ring. In the meantime, we are going to take Cortana and protect her with our life. So begins our quest. We pop her into our armor, get our first gun, and begin finding a way off this death trap. We learn the rest of our abilities, that is, pressing buttons to shoot our gun, change weapons and grenades, and lob said grenades, as well as giving our enemies a mighty smack. One thing coming from the future to play this game that did kind of irk me is there's no sprint. I know that's silly to say, but coming straight from Titanfall 2 as my last shooter, I've grown accustomed to modern day movement in video games, and Halo Combat Evolved suffers from a bit of sluggishness. If a grenade is thrown near your feet, you basically have to do a 180 and hope you waddle far enough away from it without getting shot in the back to survive. Small gripe, but it's hard to ignore. Real quick here, I want to say I hope you're having fun so far. Please click the like and subscribe for my Halo 2 retrospective coming in a couple videos. Moving on, we find the last escape pod and load it full of troops and get out. This cutscene highlights the cinematic nature of Halo as Keyes pilots the Pillar of Autumn past us. Our new unnamed pilot crash lands us into the ring, killing everyone but us. Good job, unnamed pilot. Finally, peace and quiet washes over us as we step out of the pod into a picturesque valley area. Cortana tells us our next task is to gather up all the survivors we can. To help us out, we call upon Echo 419, aka Foehammer, to drop us off a Warthog, arguably the most iconic video game vehicle of all time. Which is funny because it's basically just a desert buggy with a 50 caliber machine gun glued to the back. Driving the Warthog is as if someone tapped directly into the dopamine receptors of my body and found the exact method to make them fire off constantly. There's a button for forward and a button for backwards, and steering is done by looking with the camera. Sounds simple, right? Well, it's hard to explain, but it's like the rear of the Warthog is tied to your camera with bungee cords and rubber bands. So if you turn the camera at full speed, your Warthog is no longer a means of traversal. Now it is a close quarters combat machine. Fun fact, the lore accurate name for the Warthog is the M12 Force Application Vehicle. aptly named as I apply the force of my vehicle to my enemies' bodies. If I could get a whole game of just this, I would be happy. After gathering as many troops as we can, it's time to rescue Captain Keyes. This involves us boarding a disabled Covenant cruiser, breaking Keyes out of his holding cell, and commandeering a Covenant dropship to make our escape. This mission highlights a couple personal loves I have for the series. The first one being scale. The Halo franchise has amazing set pieces, and some of them are designed in a way to make you feel so small compared to the sheer size of the conflict taking place around you. In the early half of this mission, we fight underneath a massive Covenant ship known as the Truth and Reconciliation. With the night sky creating a backdrop behind the glowing purples of the cruiser, I felt like a little ant, even though I'm a hulking super soldier. This mission also highlights the Anniversary Edition's nifty little graphics changing option. You can seamlessly change between the 2001 graphics and some retextured ones released in 2011. And while I would say the interior of the Truth and Reconciliation looks way better in the 2001 graphics, the exterior and the skybox look beautiful in the redone graphics. It's a nice feature, and in my footage you will see me constantly switching back and forth to compare every zone. Sometimes the updated graphics completely lose the tone of a given area, and I'll bring that up later. One other thing about this mission before we move on is you'll notice that whoever was in charge of the naming department for this game deserves way more money, because some of the names for ships and stuff are just perfect. The Pillar of Autumn, the Truth and Reconciliation. The cryopod you awaken from is called the Hushed Casket, and soon we will meet a gentleman by the name of 343 Guilty Spark. A small detail about these games, sure, but as we play through them, keep an eye out for these creative names. After we rescue Captain Keyes, we learn the name of this ring. It's called Halo. Wow, who would have guessed? Here we learn that maybe the Covenant didn't actually follow us through slipspace. Instead, we may have simply happened upon a research armada whose goal it is to use the Halo as a weapon. So, Keyes, being the Chad he is, picks up a needler and tells us our mission is to stop the Covenant from taking control of Halo. I love Captain Keyes. Even in the face of certain death, he remains calm and collected, rallying his men with just a sentence or two. Even when the Pillar of Autumn was under attack, he coolly smoked on his pipe while figuring out what to do next. He isn't afraid to get his hands dirty and doesn't rely on the chief. Instead, many times in the campaign, Keyes is off doing his own mission. A well-written character that stands out, even in a series of well-written characters. After escaping the Truth and Reconciliation, we assault an island that houses the Silent Cartographer, again with these cool names. The Silent Cartographer gives us a map that'll lead us to Halo's control room. I guess no cool name for that place, but oh well. This mission is hands down my favorite in the game. Even though it's linear in mission progression, Halo Combat Evolved basically gives you a warthog with plenty of soldiers and just tells you to go nuts. By now, you should have a basic grasp on the combat and driving, and this mission is the game taking the leash off and letting you run wild. From this mission forward, you will notice the missions give you a lot more breathing room in terms of play area, and that comes with more vehicles and hiding spots for secrets. Besides the sandbox nature of this mission, a highlight that stands out is the opening beach assault. I think I counted like 7 or 8 Marines, and I just pushing past a storm of blaster fire and grenades. This part is frantic, and you have to watch your every move or risk getting gunned down by the endless elites, grunts, and jackals. After mopping up the beach and changing the color of our warthog to the color of the enemy's blood, we enter the passage to the cartographer. But the Covenant locks the door on us, and we don't have enough firepower to get through it. So we shoot our way around the island till we get the door opened. From there, we fly our Pelican into the chasms and corridors of the interior of Halo, further making us question who or what built this place. Why did they build it? Just to have a big weapon? If so, where are they and why didn't they use it? While Combat Evolved doesn't necessarily answer all these questions, it's a good sign when my wife stops what she's doing and asks question after question just watching a couple cutscenes. The assault on the control room is an interesting level. 1, for the unique frosty canyon we find ourselves in, and 2, the vehicles the game is going to let us mess with, namely the Scorpion battle tank and the Banshee, the Covenant's aerial assault craft that's been poking at us since the second mission of the game. The Scorpion makes you feel invincible because you have the endless fire from your machine gun, but also the one-hit kill that is your main turret. Not just that, but seeing 4 Marines sitting on the side of the tank makes you feel like you're part of a team, and makes you second guess sending your tank straight into the fray so as to possibly keep them alive. I want to say how important the Marines are to the feel of this game. Periodically through the missions, Foehammer will deliver us soldiers to assist us in our fight to survive. These guys all have great personalities and are very vocal, often commenting on when you run an enemy over, or make a large jump with the tank, or when you accidentally melee them, because I bind every button I can to my mouse and forget what buttons do what. Keeping these guys alive becomes a minigame in itself as they liven up the combat zone and make the missions feel very dramatic. The only criticism I have really is how fragile these guys are. I feel like they have half the amount of health they're supposed to, and on harder difficulties, it is genuinely impossible to keep even one dude alive. Which is a shame because one of the themes of this game is survival. So when all your Marines die and Cortana comments on how we failed to save them, even though we beat the mission, it's hard to move on from feeling like I failed. Particularly with Sergeant Johnson. There's a bit of immersion breaking when he dies, knowing his role in the coming games, plot holes aside. After we plug Cortana into the control room, she goes a bit wacky and doesn't explain anything to us. Instead, screaming that we need to go figure out what Keyes is up to and stop him before it's too late. At this point in the game, you've mowed down hundreds of the Covenant and might be getting a sense of repetition, especially since some of the control room's environments were pretty copy-pasted. Well, at this mission, Halo turns from a fight for survival into full-blown horror as we are introduced to a new enemy, the Flood. A parasitic race that eats living creatures and takes their bodies to further spread their spores. These guys are ruthless and often strike in swarms. The Flood charges headstrong through your weapon fire to smack you around with their tentacles. Before you even begin to get comfortable with fighting them, Combat Evolved has handed them guns. Seriously, zombies with guns and rocket launchers, with little guys constantly poking you so your shield can't regenerate. Up till now, I felt that the shield system worked fine, but at this moment in the game, you will notice the way your health is relayed to you kind of sucks. The idea is your shield is supposed to eat the rare mistake or two, while allowing your shield to completely dissipate opens you up for your actual health bar to get damaged. This works fine on paper, but since your actual health bar is so small and your shield takes 5 seconds to start regenerating, the later half of this game feels like hide and seek as you step out of cover, get hammered by gunfire from all directions, and then hide again to let your shield come back. Which, if there's any flood spores running around, becomes impossible because even small damage causes your shield to stop regenerating. Definitely kills the vibe of some gunfights and turns some longer scenarios into grueling ordeals. So now Mr. 343 Guilty Spark shows up and tells you that you're something called the Reclaimer, and that we're supposed to know what that means, so let's teleport to the library and grab the index. Long story short, the index is a key that gives a person or alien access to Halo's main functions. In this case, if we get this before the Covenant does, then they can't activate the Halo as a weapon. However, as Cortana soon explains to us, Guilty Spark wants us to use it as a weapon anyways, because the Flood have been released. See, the Flood aren't just a generic zombie race. They actually will go to the ends of the galaxy in search of biological matter to consume until there's none left. So, Guilty Spark wants us to use the index to activate Halo as a weapon to kill all biological life in the galaxy so that the Flood die out from starvation. Since we happen to be a biological creature, we tell him no, so him and his sentinels turn into bad guys. So, to recap, on our evacuation from a planet called Reach, we stumble upon the Covenant who want to kill us. Then, they release the Flood who wants to kill us and everything alive. And now the very keeper of Halo itself wants to kill us. And we just want to get back to Earth, man. Cortana comes up with a plan of sabotaging Halo subsystems to buy us time to find and rescue keys for a second time, in hopes that he will help us use the Pillar of Autumn as a bomb to just simply blow the ring up. So far, the ability to swap between graphics has been great, but I've noticed in these next two levels, a lot of the horror tone is lost in the updated graphics. You'll see I switch around a lot between the graphics options because the new ones are a lot brighter, therefore making life easier to acquire targets. However, it's criminal how much tone is lost in the newer graphics during the flood sections, because honestly, Halo has done a great job with making the flood feel horrifying. The old graphics wrap them in this darkness and illuminate them only by the gunfire and blaster fire they hurl your way. Brightening them up makes everything look pretty, sure, but makes the enemies just feel like they're in a boring little shooting gallery. The old graphics force you to use your flashlight to see the Covenant running in terror or fighting for their lives. The land you walk on and the pools of engine coolant leaking from the Truth and Reconciliation also look better in older graphics. Well, look is the wrong word. Again, it's just a problem in tone, and I recommend playing the later few missions in the old school graphics. So, we find keys, and unfortunately the flood got to him first. Disappointingly, a significant amount of why keys is here in the Truth and Reconciliation, and is turning into a blob as opposed to just a normal flood unit, is contained inside of the books. I was completely clueless while playing because it never really explains why he isn't just dead back in the flood containment room. So, to fill you in real quick, the Flood has enough intelligence to realize Keyes knows where Earth is and can fly spacefaring vessels. So, the Flood decide to spare him, knowing he can help them find more and more food. It's unfortunate that knowledge isn't in the game, and even more sad is a captain going down with someone else's ship. A real piss-poor end to a wonderful and heroic character. We grab his Neuralink or whatever it is that gives us full command of the Pillar of Autumn and make ourselves a quick getaway. After arriving back at the Pillar of Autumn, I was surprised to see the Covenant entrenched in the ship. Why are they there? Well, unfortunately that info resides in another book. This is great for people who have all the time in the world to consume all of Halo's media, and not so great for people with busier lives, but oh well. Turns out they're there to apparently comb for info and make sure the humans can't get back to the armory. Obviously the Flood is there because they're a swarm of endlessly multiplying zombies scouring every square inch of the galaxy in search of food, so no explanation necessary there. So, Guilty Boy shows back up, upset that we're trying to destroy the literal reason for his existence, so understandably he attacks us. Sorry for the brief explanation here at the end, but it's really difficult to say it in any other way. We basically just run to the fusion reactors and throw a bunch of grenades and shoot a bunch of rockets till it blows up, and begins the timer for the self-destruction of the Pillar of Autumn. Again, there's really no sense in drawing that part out besides how neat it is retreading the same ground we did in the tutorial, except in a destroyed state. What comes next, however, blew 5-year-old Ropeburns' head clean off. This game puts you in a warthog and tells you to get to the extraction zone so Foehammer can rescue us before the pillar self-destructs. During this timed event, you'll speed past hordes of Flood and Covenant fighting while the pillar erupts around them till we meet up with Foehammer, and watch as she perishes in front of us. Another victim to this war, and someone I genuinely wish could have made it off the ring and into the following games. As her Pelican plummets, so does our hope, until Cortana finds out there's one fighter in the launch bay that can get us off this ring, and we make it just in time. As we exit the range of the blast, Master Chief looks out the window as Cortana declares there's nothing left, just dust and echoes. Bleak. I honestly like this ending. If this was the only game in the franchise, I still would have loved it to death, especially with the totality of the ending. Nothing left. Thousands of troopers gave their life to stop the Covenant finding Earth, and Chief and Cortana saved the galaxy from the Flood. This ending is a little undermined by the next game and some of the later lore developments, and I definitely do feel like Combat Evolved lost a little bit of narrative weight just by the sheer nature of having 2 decades of media in front of it. Despite this, I'm pretty sure I have 20 or more playthroughs I'm gonna do as my life barrels in different directions. Everything from the sounds and atmosphere, the tone, the enemies, the characters, all of it was perfect. Halo left an incredible impact, and I hope you join me as we do a Halo 2 retrospective in the coming weeks. There'll be a video or two before then, so stick around by hitting subscribe for me. Please hit the like as well. Did you agree or disagree with anything I said? Feel free to let me know down below. I've been Ropeburn, and I'll see y'all later.